little bit of arrogance and lots of ignorance said, I'm going to fix this. This gave me the courage to explore how to connect India.
It is through telecom you laid the foundation for the software industry in India also.
People don't realize that polio got eradicated because of the seeds we planted in 87. Today, we are the largest producer of vaccine in the world. I believe that the best brains in the world are busy solving problems of the rich, who really don't have problems to solve. As a result, problems of the poor don't get the right talent. My legacy is my country, my India. My heart is in India. My mind is in India.
We missed one bus with the Industrial Revolution, a sudden boost in muscle power. But we were not able to catch up for 300 years. Maybe we didn't jump on the second bus on time, and that is the electronic or the computer revolution. And we might have to run behind that bus, catch up to it, and jump onto the bus, and I think we are capable of doing this. These were the prophetic words of Rajiv Gandhi when he became our Prime Minister. And thus, the next revolution happened in India, the telecom revolution, and laid the foundation for digital India. How did that happen? That story is one of conviction, vision, and an extraordinary friendship between a modern thinking Prime Minister and a technocrat with Gandhian values and American innovative mind. Welcome to a new episode of Asianet News Science Talk with none other than Mr. Sam Pitroda, widely regarded as the father of Indian telecom revolution. The man who helped digitally connect India's remotest villages to the urban as well as internationally, and later played a pivotal role in shaping the National Knowledge Commission, digital public infrastructure, and the innovation ecosystem under the UPA government. Mr. Pitroda is a prolific inventor and entrepreneur. He founded WorldTel in the mid-90s to help privatize telecom in developing nations, created the electronic diary in 1974 and a mobile wallet in 1996, even before the smartphone era began. Launched CSAM Incorporation, later acquired by MasterCard in 2013, holds over 100 patents, 20 honorary doctorates, and has authored numerous papers and books. Chaired key national initiatives in innovation, public broadcasting, smart grids, and railway modernization. He continues to lead 6 startups and 5 non-profit foundations, and a member of the American Academy of Engineering, and above all, a visionary deeply committed to public good. Mr. Sam Pitroda, welcome to Asianet News Science Talk.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
This program aims to nurture scientific temper as enshrined in our Constitution and to inspire the next generation to shape an inclusive, equitable, and knowledge-driven India. So it's only fitting then to hear the story of India's digital awakening from the man who helped make it happen.
Thank you, Shalini. Thank you for the opportunity.
First, we can begin with the telecom revolution. In the 1980, you arrived at India, but before that, you had a thriving life in US. As a technologist and an entrepreneur, you were a millionaire then. What moved you to leave behind that, even giving up your US citizenship to serve India for a token salary of 1 rupee? What was the vision behind connecting India, and how did you begin building it?
Salini, my romance with India essentially started in 1980. I had sold a company in US to Rockwell International. I was a small partner in the venture and made enough money to live comfortably then. And I came to India to take my parents to see Taj Mahal. And I decided to call my wife as soon as my parents arrived. She was in the US and I couldn't make a phone call. Tried several times In those days, India had just about 2 million phones for 750 million people. It used to take then 10 years to get a telephone connection. Next morning, I saw a group of people carrying that phone as if you were carrying a dead human body to funeral. I was intrigued by this little bit of arrogance and lots of ignorance said, I'm going to fix this. This gave me the courage to explore how to connect India, a country then of 750 million people. Just to give you quickly my background, I was born and raised in a small little tribal village in Orissa, a large family of 8 children. My parents came from Gujarat looking for work in Orissa. My father had 4th grade education, and I was born in 1942. Those were the days of British Raj. When I was growing up, independence movement was on everyone's mind. Gandhi was the leader, Nehru, Patel, Maulana Azad, Subhash Chandra Bose, Sarojini Naidu, and there were all kinds of great leaders in India. So we grew up in a very idealistic environment. Gandhi was our role model, partly because my parents were Gujarati. Since there were no schools in that village, my parents decided to send us to a boarding school in Gujarat, which was a Gandhian school. And there you learn fundamental values, character, related to truth, trust, equality, justice, diversity, not knowing that all of these things will mean a great deal when you grow up. Discipline, respect for other human being, all of these things became a core foundation for your journey onward. I did my master's in physics in Baroda. I was the first one to get a degree from college. And then one fine morning read that President Kennedy has decided to send man onto the moon and decided to come to America. This was in 1964. I took a boat which went from Mumbai to Karachi to Aden to Egypt. Took a bus in Egypt to see pyramids and all, connected at the other end of the Suez Canal. Went to Naples, Pompeii, Genoa, and then took a train from Genoa to London. Took a train from London to New York and a bus from New York to Chicago. This was 60 years ago. I studied here. Luck would have it that I got to work on digital communication in 1966. There were only 3 of us in the entire company of maybe 30,000 people who worked on digital switching. Bell Lab had just started some work, and as a result, we got to do a lot of pioneering work. I had about 20, 30 patents then, and in 1974, I decided to start a business in digital switching that I sold to Rockwell International, became head of Rockwell Telecom in Chicago, Cedar Rapids, and Dallas. That's the time I decided to come to India. As I said earlier, then we had 2 million phones. I was convinced that IT and telecom would change the face of India. I got an opportunity to meet Mrs. Indira Gandhi, then Rajiv Gandhi, and Congress Party gave me the backing, encouragement. They welcomed me, and ultimately Rajiv Gandhi provided the political will to connect India. And young talent in large number of our young engineers coming from IITs and other schools really worked very hard to deliver on the promises we made.
You put a time frame for this, that is 36 months with 400 employees.
Yes, once the idea was presented to Mrs. Gandhi, where the core was about the fact that IT and telecom will change the face of India. And we can do it on our own. Indigenous development, local talent, alternative model of development, local production, ancillary industry, our own software, and product that would meet Indian conditions.
That is through telecom, you laid the foundation for the software industry in India also.
Yes, because telecom required a lot of software people. It was a digital stored program control switch. So we had to learn about C++ then, Unix. Remember, this was almost 45 years ago. So when I gave a presentation to Mrs. Gandhi in 1980, she said, good. And as a result, doors opened. But then government had to verify what I was saying, rightfully so. So a group of experts came from India, including Secretary of Department of Electronics, Head of R&D for Telecom, Dr. Mimamsi, Dr. P.P. Gupta was Secretary, and Dr. Pitke from TIFR, along with the Joint Secretary Mathur from Ministry of Industries. They all came and spent 2-3 weeks with me in Chicago to make sure that I was not a fraud. Met with people in my company, met at the Bell Lab, several scientists, and verified that what I was saying was feasible. Then we were asked to prepare a cabinet note, which required lots of details. And that took almost over 2 years, trying to understand human resource, facility, technology, equipment, training, all kinds of things.
May I interrupt to ask one doubt? That is the digital switches you are tend to introduce. That's the first time in the world. It's a doubt.
No, it was first time in India.
First time in India.
I had designed digital switches here in America. That was my company, which was based on digital switching. So I had done this before, but we were not going to copy anything because things had changed in 4 or 5 years. I had done it in 74, and we were now going to do it in 84. So a lot of tools and technology had changed in the decade. So we had to start from scratch. India was then using electromechanical switching crossbar. Our alternative was to go to Belgium and upgrade crossbar. So we were going to leapfrog with digital switching. There's a lot of risk. And the program was for 36 months, $36 million. Then dollar was 10 rupees a dollar. And government finally approved, launched the program in August of 1984. But right after that, Mrs. Gandhi was assassinated. Rajiv Gandhi became Prime Minister. For a while, I was concerned that this program will be derailed and all the work we had done would be wasted. So after Rajiv Gandhi became Prime Minister, he and I met at his home in January of 85, had a long conversation, and that's the time I decided to come back. It was romantic to think of working with the young Prime Minister who was tech savvy. There was a window of opportunity to bring digital and IT technology to India, and I had fortunately been at the right place at the right time in America, and I thought this opportunity will never come again. But I had to make some major decisions in my life. I had to convince my wife. I had family here. My parents were in America. I had 2 young kids. So finally, I convinced everyone, and we decided to go back to India, lock, stock, and barrel. My children went to school there for 3-4 years, and I got to work with bright young people in India at Center for Development of Telematics, CDOT, that we founded.
You established that CDOT.
Absolutely. Today, no one even remembers how C-DOT was formed. Who formed C-DOT?
And you are the
What
founder
was C-DOT
chairman of
formed
the
about?
Telecom Commission of India.
I then, when I started my work on C-DOT, main concern was people were wondering, what is that I want? Do I want consulting fee? I said, no. Do I want to be head of C-DOT? I said, no. Do I want fee for technology transfer? No. So it was a little bit of a problem when people were trying to figure out what was my motive. And I had no motive. I had this Gandhian idea that it is my time to give. So I worked for 1 rupee salary. I was advisor to C-DOT. And as things started moving rapidly with the support of Rajiv Gandhi and hard work of bright young people, I realized that C-DOT will be on autopilot after 2.5, 3 years. Then I decided to move on to work on technology missions. And after that, when C-DOT products were designed, we realized that the bureaucracy in telecom department will reject these products under one pretense or the other and would prefer imported digital technology. That's the time I decided to take over as the founding chairman of the Telecom Commission. Of course, with the help of clear understanding with the government, Rajiv Gandhi, cabinet secretary, principal secretaries, and others. But the technology missions were the most interesting and exciting things beside telecom that I ever did in India. There were 6 technology missions: rural drinking water, immunization, literacy, oil seeds, milk production, and telecom. In each of these, we had measurable, tangible milestones, like provide drinking water to 100,000 villages, set up factories for vaccine and eradicate polio. People don't realize that polio got eradicated because of the seeds we planted in 87. People don't realize that the literacy increased substantially because of the program on technology mission on literacy. Today, we are the largest producer of vaccine in the world. Seeds were planted in Rajiv Gandhi era. Today, we have eradicated polio completely. Today, we are the largest producer of milk in the world. We used to import $1 billion worth of cooking oil. Through mission on oil seeds, not only reduced that to zero, but we started exporting oil cakes. But telecom and IT was the key. Today, we have come from a 2 million telephones in 1980s to almost 1.5 billion telephones. Then we did not export any software. Today, we do about $220 billion worth of software services and export. People have no idea of how it happened and what it means. Some people want to rewrite history by lies, misinformation, but the reality is on the ground for everyone to see. We created millions of jobs in IT and STD-PCOs and software services and call centers. Then we had very little in software. We had TCS, Infosys and Wipro were just starting with 5 or 8 people, and we got help from GE in giving us a main contract for $10 million worth of software export in a meeting that Jack Welch and I had. Jack Welch was the chairman of GE. And then we went to IBM, TI, Motorola, and others and got initial orders. Set up a satellite link for TI to build software in India. Pioneers always have arrows in the back. We have taken a lot of arrows, a lot of risk. But all of that is forgotten. Doesn't matter. All the things you do, people don't remember. But one little thing you don't do, people remember. So the journey has been very enriching, very rewarding. very fulfilling. In the process, got to meet some very exciting, interesting scientists in India, young people in India. And nothing like this can be done by one or two. It required army of people, including entrepreneurs, businessmen, civil society, educational institutions, because to scale software business, we needed a lot of training. So lots of universities and colleges got started. A lot of special training programs in software got started. So it required us to mobilize the entire nation. I must say that building a nation is very different from building a company. Company building is reasonably straightforward because there you're trying to optimize money, profit. When you are building a nation, you're trying to optimize so many things. You have to empower people. Some people are volunteers. So you're not just trying to optimize money, you're trying to optimize human capacity.
You also ensured women participation also.
Very much so. At CDOT, one day I found out that we didn't have enough women. So I told Mr. Mimamsi, Dr. Pitke, and others that we need 20, 30 women in the organization. And I said, let's put an ad in Economic Times saying only women should apply. And Mr. Mimamsi said, look, that's not possible because that's against government regulations. I said, doesn't matter. We'll figure it out what happens later on. So in a month and a half, we hired 26 women in CDOT because we had to make sure that there is enough diversity. People from all walks of life could add their talent to this effort. We had a group in Delhi and we had a group in Bangalore. Delhi group always wanted tea break and Bangalore people always wanted coffee break. Bangalore, we had hardware, production, quality control, testing. And in Delhi, we had systems, software, diagnostics, and a big prototype. People worked non-stop. Some of these young people work 16 hours a day. The environment and ecosystem was created.
And you made your office at Ashoka Hotel.
No, what happened is we were trying to get office. Rajiv Gandhi told me to go see Asiad Village because we had just finished Asiad Games then. I went there, but there was no air conditioning. And I found out it'll take us 9 months to order air conditioning plant. This was 45 years ago, 40 years ago. And you couldn't take 9 months out of a 36 months program to get air conditioned office. So the Akbar Hotel was available because there was and technology had changed in the decade. So we took 8th and 9th floor and we worked out of hotel rooms. Initially, we worked on bed. Then we changed the furniture. But the air conditioning was a prerequisite because of all the computers there. We needed computing power. And that also helped us in our work environment, work conditions. We had to change work habits, work methods. So work culture was a very important part of building CDOT. People would come at any time, go at any time. People could eat whatever they wanted to eat at work. And the mood was so very exciting. I remember once a couple showed up at 10 o'clock at night. I used to stay in the same hotel. I had one room on 8th floor or 7th floor. And they said, we are here because our son keeps telling us that he works late and he works for the government. No one works till 10 o'clock for the government. So they said, we are here to check him up. So I took them to a room where there were 5, 6 software people working. And they had pillows with them. They used to sleep right there. So it was that kind of a work environment that really delivered on our promises. So lots of things happen. When I became chairman Telecom Commission, one of the requirements was to use rural exchanges to wire India's villages and offer STD PCOs so people could make a phone call without owning a telephone. You could go at the pawn shop, pharmacy, or a regular phone wala, make a phone call anywhere in the world and pay for it right then and then. And that really transformed Indian connectivity.
And this gave job opportunities to the underprivileged as well as
2
the
million people.
disabled people.
2 million people roughly were involved in creating new jobs or created new jobs for STD PCOs and related services. But then came mobile phone with distributed architecture, and that changed everything. See, in telecom, cost per line remained $1,000, and we added 115 years, 1 billion phones. Then came mobile telephony with distributed architecture. Cost started going down from $2,000 a line to $100 a line. When it hit $100 and below, all of a sudden we added globally 7 billion more phones in 20 years. That is the power of distributed, decentralized architecture. Today we are all connected, not just in India, but globally. For the first time in the human history, we are all connected. What does this connectivity mean to human civilization? We have to ask this question, what does this connectivity mean to India? Does it mean more gossips, more misinformation, hate promotion, dividing society, spreading lies, or improving education, health, governance, payment, and building better people? I'm sorry to say that bad actors have used telecom all over the world to spread hate, fear, misinformation, lies, take revenge on people, personal attacks, rewrite history. It is very sad that social media that was supposed to really help us is really hurting us. But I hope this is transient, and in the long run, things will change.
What's the Sampitroda way of fixing this? That is, this misinformation over the facts.
See, I cannot fix it because the rich and powerful have come together. And the business model created by these rich and powerful companies allow you to have unauthenticated behavior. I can register as Sampitroda 1, Sampitroda 2, Sampitroda 3, and spread all kinds of rumors, and nobody would know who did what. So you can essentially change my personality, attack me with all kinds of lies, and people will say, oh, is that Sampitroda? So first requirement is to make sure that we have authenticated behavior, where people register with ID, saying, I am the real Sampitroda, and I take responsibility for what I say. I hear all kinds of things about me by people, they don't exist. These are trolls, these are paid people who are hired to hurt other human beings for political gains, business purpose. An individual does not have the power to respond. I can give you an example in my case many times, and there are known examples. I say something which will be twisted, and all of a sudden, 5 cabinet ministers, even Prime Minister of India, would start responding. Media would just jump at it. And nobody will call me to say, Mr. Pitroda, is this what you said? Is that what you mean? So there is an organized attack to malign you. And I don't pay much attention. I don't really care. I don't have to respond. Because a lot of my family members will say, why don't you respond? I said, no, I'm not going to respond. It is possible to do all these things because of unauthenticated behavior. We have not defined human rights for a digital citizen. We need human rights for digital citizen. What is good behavior and what is bad behavior? What happens when you spread lies? I mean, recently somebody started spreading lies that we have started a Indian Overseas Congress has started office in Turkey. And they showed a building that belonged to Government Conference Center. I mean, how can you lie like that? But people do because they get paid to lie. That's the world we live in. The bottom line is each one of us will have to learn to find our own truth. What you read, what you hear is not necessarily the truth. You have to understand that truth is something you will have to search for. Internet is full of lies and very little truth. And this is a global phenomenon.
I think we should develop a technology to counter these false things or lies spreading.
There is technology, there is, fact check and all kinds of things. Okay.
That's man-made.
But the billions and billions invested by these big giants.
Can we think of a technology which automatically shows this is incorrect using AI? This person is lying.
It will happen. It is happening to some extent, but who is looking at it? Okay, you check the facts now. You check facts. If somebody says, I'm 20-year-old, you can check facts.
The individuals to check. But think of a time where the technology itself, that is using the...
Technology will check, but where is the... No, but it has to have a business model.
Okay.
Are people ready to pay? If people are not ready to pay, it won't scale. See, fake people are ready to pay for fake news. So that's why it scales. Okay. More clicks based on lies generate more money. You can spread a lie and lots of people will click on it. And that's good for the big companies. So on one hand, they have unauthenticated behavior. On the other hand, they encourage lies. They encourage rumors because rumors spread faster, like a wildfire. So you get more clicks. If you get more clicks, you make more money. So it's that simple. You register more fake people, you can say, on my platform, I have 2 billion people. In reality, you may have 1 billion. But if you say 2 billion, your valuation is very high. Then you encourage people to lie and cheat and spread rumors, so more people click. That is what is going on in the world today.
Can we move to the second question? That is,
Please.
We know about your involvement in setting up the Semiconductor Complex Limited in Chandigarh in the 80s. It finds little mention in your memoir, Dreaming Big. Why?
I probably forgot. So many things were to be done. I probably forgot. No other reason, believe me. See, we had set up.
But it's very important for our country.
It is important. There are lots of important things, and I'm just a normal human being. I'm also entitled to make mistakes. And I wasn't that involved in it as much as I was involved in telecom and technology missions and knowledge commission and, other things. But that particular factory was the key to India's advanced technology. At that point in time, some people believed that it was a sabotage. We don't know the facts.
The fire.
The entire factory got burned within few hours. So Rajiv Gandhi and I met immediately. He asked me, what should we do? And I said, we should ask American government to help us. But US government did not want to give us 2-micron technology then. Now we are talking about nano technologies. So since we were not getting 2-micron technology, we said, look, it doesn't make sense to set up a new factory with old technology. But right after that, Rajiv Gandhi lost election, VP Singh government came, and there was very little emphasis on technology missions and technology thereafter for a while. Even in Narasimha Rao's time, there were a lot of other priorities, and technology was basically on the back burner for a while. But private entrepreneurs were very active, fortunately, and a lot of credit goes to them and NASCOM and others for building software export and training large number of people.
Did we miss a historic opportunity back then in chip manufacturing?
Absolutely. Now it is too expensive,
How far
too
behind are we
complicated.
today?
It is very difficult to say how far behind. It could be 10 years, it could be 20 years, it could be 5 years. But the way to look at this is today it requires huge amount of investment to set up semiconductor plant, 20 billion maybe. In addition, you need a lot of water. In addition, you need lots of trained people and lots of energy. We have great talent pool from India running foundries all over the world.
Around 30% of chip designs are from India, but no production here.
Absolutely,
And
but
the
some
MeitY's
people,
current 76,000 crore semiconductor mission, is it enough to make us globally competitive?
I don't know that. In Dr. Manmohan Singh's time, there was a committee set up to look at this. I was co-chairing that committee with my friend V. Krishnamurthy, and there were other important colleagues of ours, Arun Maira and others, all participated. We spent 2 years investigating this, and we also requested Indian business to join in a public-private partnership. No one agreed. None of our industry leaders wanted to invest in semiconductor. We personally went to Tata. We personally went to others. Finally, JP Industries from UP, those who were in construction business, came forward to work with part IBM technology, part Israel technology, but they didn't have the financial muscles, and the whole thing fell through. So it had some false starts. I hope it works, but it's a big gamble, huge gamble. And it's not a very simple thing to do, believe me. We have lost the boat. We could have done what Taiwan did at one point in time, but it required, again, political will. See, a lot of these kinds of national projects require political will. If you look at our history, atomic energy was a partnership between Baba and Nehru. Space, Vikram Sarabhai. Agricultural revolution, Swaminathan and Rao and others, Randhawa and Mrs. Gandhi and all. Telecom revolution in Rajiv Gandhi's time. Milk revolution.
Dr. Varghese.
You need that kind of partnership between domain expert and political leader. We don't have that today for semiconductor. There is no one domain expert you can identify who is seen as the champion to lead this project in India. It cannot be bureaucrat. It's not possible, with all respect to bureaucrats. You need well-known, global, well-recognized, respected, accomplished, confident, courageous leader in the field. If you don't have that, it doesn't work. And that's why we have not been able to resolve the energy issue, water issue, because we don't have Mr. Water or Mrs. Energy. We don't have Mr. Environment. We had one earlier, Anil Agarwal. He died, and then Sunita and others took over, but it was a different environment then. So if you really want to solve a large national problem, according to me, you need two things: domain expert and political will. See, today a lot of people think our Prime Minister Modi is the champion of digital technology. Not true. He has no idea, with all the respect. Seeds were planted in Rajiv Gandhi's time because of the domain experts and political will coming together. E-governance, Seshagiri, Dr. Garola, and others spent their life working on e-governance. Just like space, we had to build an institution, autonomous institution. And today, it is hard to build autonomous institutions because every institution is politicized. And in that kind of an environment, it's very difficult to have freedom and flexibility to do the things that need to be done. In Manmohan Singh's time, we built National Knowledge Network. Nobody knows how it got built. We built Bharat Network, which is to connect all our panchayats to 100 megabit bandwidth. We took money from USO fund. In one shot, we could shift thousands of crores to this program. We worked with Army to release their band, offer them fiber optic network so we could auction frequencies for mobile telephony. Nobody knows all these things. They have no idea of how these things get done. That's where the roots are. Roots are not in showmanship, lies, misinformation, and taking credit for things you have not done. I'm sorry to say this.
It's not that Rajiv Gandhi's assassination was a deeply personal loss for you two. And you once said you both had big plans for India's next leap in connectivity. What were those plans? And why did you decline Prime Minister Narasimha Rao's invitation to continue your work under his government, even though you worked under VP Singh government? And
No, I did not. I did not decline to work under Narasimha Rao. He and I met, we talked, and he said, Sam, I want you to continue. I said, okay, sir, I will continue. But I cannot put the same level of energy and enthusiasm that I had. Because one, I was broke. I had lost every bit of money I had in going back and forth and running the family, and I needed a break to put my personal life in order. I was devastated by Rajiv Gandhi's death. It was not only a big national loss, it was a personal loss as well to me and my family. He was my rock. And we clicked. And these things happen by accident. It don't happen every day. So I had to come back to US and put my life in order. But I had given up my nationality. So I had to come back on on a tourist visa. But on tourist visa, you couldn't work. So I had to start a small business in my wife's name and all, and rebuild my life. But starting a business did not interest me. It was no longer romantic. So then I decided to build a bank in London with the help of United Nations and investors like G Capital, AIG, and Intel to help privatize telecom in emerging markets. I traveled all over Latin America, Africa, went to China. At a time, Chinese didn't have anything on digital switching, nothing, absolutely nothing. And I used to meet with the Minister of Telecom in China. And he had a dream. And look where China is today, because they had political will. So I spent about 7 years in London, going back and forth between Chicago and London. And finally, when Dr. Manmohan Singh government came, before that I went to campaign because I couldn't believe all the things people were saying about India shining.
that also I want to ask, what drove that decision? That is, everybody believed that the India shining slogan then, and most opinion polls predicted an NDA victory. Yet you came back and campaigned for Congress. Was it faith in a vision or dissatisfaction with the status quo?
Because I believed that misinformation had taken over. There was no India shining. People were taking credit for what they had not done. And these people were lying, according to me. Now, this was my analysis. Okay, I could have been wrong.
Vajpayee government reaping the benefits of what of Rajiv and Narasimha Rao governments?
Yes, some of it, not all of it. Okay, but India was definitely not shining. So I felt it is my moral duty as part of an unfinished agenda of Rajiv Gandhi to go back and tell my story. People may believe it, people may not believe it. You know, it's up to the people who are listening. So I campaigned, my wife and I went, met with Sonia Gandhi, came out of her office and had a press conference. Jairam was also with me. And we decided to campaign. And lots of people campaigned. Mine was just one voice. And we formed the government. As soon as we formed the government, I realized here is another opportunity to make a contribution. But then I was no longer a 40-year-old. My children were going to college here. My wife didn't want to go back full time. So I decided to commute a little bit and spend more time in India. And Dr. Manmohan Singh and Congress government again gave me an opportunity to make a contribution.
From 2005 to 2014, you worked under Manmohan Singh as his advisor.
I worked under Manmohan Singh.
With a cabinet rank.
First, I worked on National Knowledge Commission, along with some very distinguished colleagues of mine, for 3 years to put together a report on knowledge in India for the next 20 years. Let me tell you, when we were working on that report, we had 300 universities. And we said we want 1,000 universities. People laughed at us, saying, what are you talking? Why do you need 1,000 universities in India? You'll be happy to learn that today we already have 1,000 universities. That's the kind of vision it requires. We realize that we need to expand, excel, and provide equity in our higher education. So we put together that report with focus on 5 main areas of knowledge. First, access to knowledge. Libraries, languages, portals, broadband connectivity, affirmative action programs, and all that. 2 knowledge concepts: school education, distance learning, vocational education, higher education. How to get more PhDs, engineering, legal, medical education, business education, teachers training, and then application of knowledge, creation of knowledge, innovations, entrepreneurship, patents, copyright, applications in health, agriculture, and finally, knowledge in governance. So we had about 27 subjects. We came up with 300 recommendations. And again, it was romantic to work on that. And I'm thankful to Dr. Manmohan Singh for giving me that opportunity. We also worked as part of the National Advisory Council reporting to Sonia Gandhi on 2 important issues. First one was right to information, which, according to me, was a landmark decision. It was very visionary. And the second one was NREGA. It was equally visionary. People don't understand these things. People have no idea of the depth it requires to create these kinds of programs. People listen to all garbage and junk that ignorant people want to take credit for, and people get excited about it. After Knowledge Commission, we worked on National Knowledge Network to connect 1,100 nodes to 40 gigabit bandwidth, ultimately start with 4, to connect all our universities, our R&D centers, so we can improve our education and build better human capacity. That network is operational. Nobody knows, nobody talks about it. Let me tell you what happened.
You build the public information infrastructure.
That's separate than the national knowledge network. But I must say this, that the first thing BJP government did, one of the first things on the national knowledge network, is they took my picture out of the website, which is okay, but that's petty. You see, that's so petty. You know, I was the key architect. I worked with key people, Dr. Garola, Dr. Chidambaram, Dr. Y.K. Sharma, and others. And people don't understand what it takes to build a network like that. Then I worked on public information infrastructure to connect our panchayats and all that, which is really all about Digital India. Digital India sits on public information infrastructure with payment and other facilities. And all of this was done during Manmohan Singh's time. What we see today is applications.
You were pivotal in shaping the UIDA, that is the Aadhaar, UID tax for every person.
We will all party to it. Aadhaar was really the contribution of Nandan Nilekani,
So,
great contribution.
Aadhaar tags every
Wonderful
person, GIS every place, and the applications every government program.
That was part of the public information infrastructure. And then we worked on innovation. We set up innovation councils at the national level, state level. We worked on clusters. We worked on innovations at school level through Tod Ford Jod centers, and we did lots of interesting things. Unfortunately, when BJP government came up in 2014, I requested to Prime Minister as well as to his secretary that please don't abolish Innovation Council. You can put your own people, but the first thing they did is they killed the Innovation Council.
Modi government killed the
Now, how
Innovation Council.
Absolutely. Sad. How can you do that? India needs innovation. Doesn't matter which people you use. And this is not good for the country. But no one talks about it. You know, it's easy to kill an institution. It is very difficult to build an institution. It takes long time to build an institution. You can kill it with one little note and saying this institution is closed. But the damage done in the process is huge. So I had an opportunity to work on many, many things, including all the portals. Very few people in India know that we have one of the best portals on water, energy, environment, biodiversity, teachers training, and we even build a portal on Gandhi heritage, where we have millions of documents. It took 4 years to build that portal. Nobody knows now how that portal was built. Nobody even knows that there is a portal on Gandhi heritage. So many people are trying to rewrite history. History has many meanings. History is our record. History is not destroying somebody's personality by changing facts. But a lot of that is going on in the world today. I am very disappointed with the way social media has been used in the last decade or two to really undermine democracy, freedom, human rights, justice, by spreading hate, fear, misinformation, and lies. At times I feel that all the bad guys are perceived as good and all the good guys are perceived as bad because of social media. I worry about it. You know, I wrote 2 books, as you can see in the back, one on redesigning the world, because the world was last designed when I was born in 1942, 83 years ago. That design was created by America, which gave birth to UN, World Bank, IMF, ultimately WTO, WHO, and all that. In a hyper-connected world, that design doesn't work anymore. That design worked for 7 decades, 8 decades. We need a new design today. I wrote another book on democracy, saying democracy is under strain today. In some places, democracy has been hijacked. Authoritarian mindsets have captured power through democratic process. And all of these things are going to be very important going forward because information technology is all about empowering people. And democracy is the only way to empower people. And there is a contradiction here. We are using technology to take empowerment away from people. I hope in the long run, democracy will win, truth will win, people will change, programs and processes will change. And I see a great hope in AI and other technologies which will really transform our work and our living, our government and our institutions. Take, for example, in India today, we have 50 million court cases pending. It takes 15, 20 years to get justice. There are court cases going on for 30, 40 years. I mean, what kind of a legal system is that? Why can't we fix it? So if we need more judges, that's more jobs. More courts, that's more construction. If we can just use AI to settle all these court cases in 12 months, I guarantee to you that we will add 2% to our GDP. Why aren't we using these tools? These are the questions that require political will. One program to clean up our court cases and provide justice in 12 months or 24 months will again change the face of India. See, today business people have very little confidence from international community in Indian legal system. I have lots of friends who say, look, I don't want to get involved in India because the legal system in India is such that I can never get justice. If I get justice, it will take a long time. Why mess with it? I know it, that it takes huge amount of effort because anybody can file a court case. It just goes on and on, nobody pays attention. You get more dates and just files keep building. Here is an opportunity using AI to reform our judiciary. You can use AI to reform our governance because all our e-governance is basically obsolete because most of this was designed 30 years ago, 20 years ago, when tools were different, not based on cloud computing, AI, new software.
At this point, may I
techniques and
ask you a
technology.
point? That is, AI works on the data you feed. If they feed wrong data or to discriminate people, what would be the purpose?
Absolutely true. I agree with that. But first, we need to really organize our data.
Yes.
We don't have good data. Just to give you an example, Hindi is the third largest language in the world. But Hindi is less than 6% of the internet. All our books and literature in Tamil, Bengali, Oriya, Gujarati, Hindi, Malayalam, don't exist in digital format. As a result, we can't really make good use of AI without our own good data. Today, all our data is in the hands of outsiders. All our shopping data is with China. All our business and personal data is with US. Personal data is used on WhatsApp, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and all. Shopping data is used on what we buy, mainly from China. So all that data is outside. We don't have that data.
So the first thing we need is to refine the data, then AI.
There are a lot of first things we need. Believe me, it's not that simple. I wish it was that simple. But first thing we need in every one of these things is political will.
Yes.
And domain experts, and trust them. Manmohan Singh never interfered with Nandan Nilekani on Aadhaar. He just trusted Nandan and his team and remaining people at NIC and all others who worked with him. And they sorted things out. Manmohan Singh never said, oh, don't do Aadhaar this way, do it this way, or do it that way. No.
But
That's what leadership is about. Nor did Manmohan Singh ever take a credit for Aadhaar. He never went to press and said, oh, I did the Aadhaar. No, you don't do those things as a leader.
despite his impeccable personal integrity, do you think Dr. Manmohan Singh failed to decisively counter the 2G and other corruption scandals which eclipsed the good things you done, your team did during the UPA
See,
governance.
corruption,
And this is just as Rajiv Gandhi couldn't shake off the shadow of Bofors.
lies sell in India
Everyone believes that
like
the
hotcakes.
first UPA government was historic. It gave us
Okay, let's take one by one. I think you have asked some very important question in this. You know, first, Bofors hurt Rajiv Gandhi badly. Bofors was a lie. Rajiv Gandhi never took a dime out of Bofors, no matter what people say. Still, people use all kinds of things against Rajiv Gandhi. Let's look at what he did, which was good. We all make mistakes. Don't get hung up on one or two mistakes when you have, done so much for the country. If I have spent 40 years selflessly by taking 1 rupee salary, and if I make one mistake, I'm entitled to make mistake. Don't jump at me, but it's okay. It's your privilege. I have no problem with that. So Bofors was a lie. Similarly, in Manmohan Singh's time, coal, 2G, what have you proven so far? I don't know. Have you proven anything yet? No. But lies sell. Even this court case we have going on National Herald has been going on for 12 years. What have we proven in 12 years? But every time it comes up on the TV, national media goes wild and starts accusing and using all kinds of words and harassing people and naming everybody and saying, oh, money laundering case. But this is what sells. So people love this kind of stuff. A lot of people tell me, why didn't you all use your time in promoting? I said, no, that was not my job. My job was to deliver on what I was supposed to do and not promote what I delivered. It's okay. If time tells, it's okay. If time doesn't tell, it's also okay also. The fact that telephones in India change is good enough. Who did it, how it got done is a secondary issue. People of India are enjoying the benefit of telecom. People of India have benefited from software export. Large number of poor families have been lifted. Not enough. Unfortunately, our population doubled from 750 to 1.5 billion in last 40 years. So a lot of the gains that we had made are not as visible as those gains ought to be. But we are moving in the right direction. We have made a lot of progress. And if we can continue to grow at 8% like we grew for 8 years out of 10 years during Manmohan Singh time, I think we would be the largest economy in the world because we have the largest number of people in the world.
In your autobiography, you wrote that yesterday's critics are today's champions. You told it earlier also. And especially when the current leadership celebrates the very digital systems that were criticized in the past. For example, Aadhaar, the then Chief Minister of Gujarat, now the Prime Minister, Modi vigorously opposed Aadhaar, and when he came to power, he embraced Aadhaar as well, Nandan Nilekani also. Then in 2023, Modi even quoted Rajiv Gandhi's famous speech about the issue of leakages in welfare delivery. That is, for every 1 rupee spent by the central government, only 15 paise reaches the beneficiary. 85% goes to the middlemen pockets. Now Modi claiming that for every 1 rupee spent by his government, 100 of the 100 paise reaches the beneficiary. So from 2014 to 2023, he spent 28 lakh crores of rupees for welfare schemes, and by Rajiv's account, only 4 lakh would reach the beneficiary. But he ensured all the 100% of the 28 lakh crores reach the beneficiary, and thus he deposited 24 lakh crores of rupees in their bank accounts. So What did Congress fail to do, politically or publicly, that allowed its achievements to be claimed by those who opposed it?
See, first of all, I'm happy that Prime Minister Modi continued with Aadhaar. I'm thankful to him and BJP government for continuing many of the programs that we had started in Manmohan Singh's time. I'm not happy that they closed Innovation Council and few other programs, but that's their privilege. They all do things because of their own personal interest. But I won't organize an attempt to malign somebody in a systematic way. And that's what many people do today. So the idea is really not to fight the battle with them. You said this and I said that. You say whatever you want to say, that's your privilege. I stand by my truth. I know what my truth is. If you want to believe, fine. If you don't want to believe, that's also fine. That's your privilege. So I can say Manmohan Singh was not interested in taking credit for everything. That's a different kind of leadership. I don't think Rajiv Gandhi ever said that I did telecom. No, we did it. Okay? Nation did it. At the end of the day, you do these things because you believe that people of India would benefit from it. You don't do it because, somebody will say you did it. You can't do anything by yourself. You must accept that first. It requires contribution of lots of people to get anything done at a national level. And you should be thankful to every one of those who helped you in accomplishing larger goals.
Dr. Manmohan Singh said in his final press conference as PM, history will judge me more kindly than media. And time has proved him right. How do you think history will judge you, sir? And what would you like your legacy to be?
First of all, I am an ordinary man coming from ordinary family who had an opportunity to do some very interesting things in India because of political will from Rajiv Gandhi, Dr. Manmohan Singh, and Congress Party, and young talent. So I'm thankful to all of them. Doesn't matter how history will judge me. I'm not Mahatma Gandhi. I'm not Pandit Nehru. So it really doesn't matter. My legacy is my two children, my grandchildren. I have a great family. I'm married to my love of my life for 58 years. And what can you ask for? I'm fulfilled. I'm content. I had a great journey. And I know there is a beginning and there is an end. And I know my end is not too far. I'm 83 years old. So I'm not interested in legacy and all that. And it doesn't matter. Because after 2 generations, nobody will remember me anyway. Even a lot of people, don't remember what we did 40 years ago. Day before yesterday, I went to a conference in Chicago. And when I went to register, there were 2 young kids. And they said, "What's your name?" I said, "My name," and this and that. And they registered, gave me a badge. And when I was asked to speak at that conference at the end, I spoke there. After the conference, these kids came to me and said, "Oh my God, we didn't realize that you are the Sam Pitroda." But that's normal. I said, "Why should you recognize me?" There's no reason for you to recognize me. I'm not part of your life. It's okay. Perfectly acceptable. So I don't have these grandiose ideas of my legacy and all that. My legacy is my country, my India, my work in telecom, my work in technology mission, my work in knowledge commission, my work on, portals and innovations and all that. But that will be forgotten, which is okay, perfectly normal. But my children will remember, my grandchildren will remember what the old man did. And I came here in 64, 60 years ago, and my entire family is in US. I have nobody in India anymore. Nobody. My parents died here. I have all my brothers and sisters here. But my heart is in India. My mind is in India. because I still remember my childhood, my little village in Orissa, my school, my teachers, my political leaders. And India gave me the roots that I needed about my values, my character, my faith in democracy, truth, trust, love, Indian diversity, respect for all religion. That's what who I am. And that's my legacy.
Your book, Redesign the World, you put forth a bold vision for the future. And here is the time of air disruption, climate change, and ethical dilemmas of gene editing. How do you envision a redesigned world? What gives you hope that we can pass on a better world to our future generations?
I don't know the answer. All I can tell you is I wrote the book because I believe it needs to be written and documented. Then there were 5 pillars of the world we designed, America designed, which gave birth to UN, World Bank, IMF, and all that. But the design was based on democracy, human rights, capitalism, consumption, and military. I believe going forward, we need to take our democracies to inclusion. Our democracies are not inclusive. In India, we have Dalits and OBC and others who are really not inclusive. In America, we have Black Lives Matter. In Europe, we have immigration. So we need to take democracy to inclusion in whatever way we can. Basic rights are not good enough. Now we can produce anything, so we should focus on basic needs: food, shelter, health, education. We have to provide that to everybody. There is no reason for this world to have hungry people anymore. One of the things I do is run food bank network in India that I started 15 years ago. Because I believe hunger can be eliminated by community participation or through community participation. Then consumption is not the answer. Conservation is the answer. We need new economy. The capitalist economy is not necessarily the only solution. We need circular economy. We need decentralization. Then the whole idea of military. We spend too much money on military. We need to really start non-violence at school level. Look at the kind of violence that goes on in our society, everywhere. In Chicago, 700 kids get killed every summer. I've lived here for 60 years, nothing has changed. Why? Why do we have largest number of people in prison in America? Because we have not focused on non-violence. We study violence, but we don't focus on non-violence. So the design I'm proposing is related to changing these 5 parameters and also create some kind of global constitution and global governance. Not a bureaucracy like UN, but through virtual means, make sure that every government has a global minister who resolves larger issues of war and peace, environmental blunders, food, health, education. But this will require rich and powerful.
We have many forums for those
Think about
purposes and we have representatives in it.
Yes, I'm working on several of these, but you see, today world has been taken over by rich and powerful. I'm not rich and I'm not powerful. So why would anybody pay attention? It's that simple. But you keep trying, see what happens. Today, the best way to look at the changes we need is to say that we need to shift our focus from power and profit to planet and people. Everything I do, I must ask question, is it good for planet or bad for planet? Is it good for people or bad for people? Doesn't matter which people. People doesn't mean just Indians or Hindus or whatever. People mean people. They are all equal. They all need to be respected. We can't divide humanity. No way. We should celebrate. diversity. People eat different food, live differently, wear different dresses, worship different gods. Great. That's the beauty of our world. How can I not celebrate that? And that's the problem today in the world.
Thank you, Mr. Sam Pitroda, for sharing your journey. In fact, we could not discuss your personal life. That also is very inspiring.
We can do that, and you don't have to include it. We can do that and document it and use it some other time,
Okay.
because this time
And
won't come again.
especially your wife Anu is like a pillar to you in both your good times and difficult times. So our respect to her also. And
Thank you.
and
Thank you for
yours,
remembering Anu.
yours is a story of ideas, idealism, and impact for us. And your work reminds us that technology is not just about innovation or economic growth is not simply about GDP. It's all about inclusion. And you proved that.
I believe that the best brains in the world are busy solving problems of the rich, who really don't have problems to solve. As a result, problems of the poor don't get the right talent.
Yes.
Some of us have a responsibility to address the problems of the poor in the best possible way with the best tools available. And that's what will make a difference. Talking about Anu, she and I met in 1962, almost 63 years ago. And we have been married for 58 years. We have wonderful two children, a son who went to MIT and Harvard for MBA. He's a venture capitalist. We have a wonderful daughter who makes movies in Hollywood, went to Michigan and London Business School. We have three wonderful grandchildren, and we are very happy. We have nothing to ask. We are so blessed, and we have wonderful friends in life, great friends. And I'm thankful to all of you.
So as we race toward the next revolution in AI, biotechnology, and sustainability, may your story inspire our young Indians to dream big and serve with purpose. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
This is Science Talk, and until next time, keep asking questions, staying curious, and building a better tomorrow.